even after the Citizenship Act was enacted in 1955, these people, the Hindus, Buddhists, Sikhs, Christians and Parsis, they were not given citizenship. And largely because they came running from there, they had no papers to show, which was required under the Citizenship Act, Provisional Citizenship Act at that stage. So a number of appeals were made. Mahatma Gandhi in his prayer, I think before his death, also had made an appeal. Large number of people had made appeals. Jayaprakash Narayan, who had by then gone into Sarvodaya, he made an appeal. So the appeal was there galore that these people should be made citizen. And in the meantime, the United Nations, which had come into being in 1945, in 1948, it enacted the International Law for Refugees. And there they made two significant paragraphs. Those who come on religious persecution, and they had that time in their mind the Jews, the treatment of Jews in Germany. And so who had gone to various countries as refugees but were not being given citizenship. So they said those who have come on religious persecution should be given citizens of the country they live in. They also added a paragraph, those who come to a country illegally without documents for economic reasons, they will not be treated as refugees. And they have to be treated on merit as the sovereign country regards it. So, two different categories were created. One for religious persecution, and the other for those who came to improve their material prospects. If an Indian today goes to America and wants to settle down, he has to go through a great, enormous process. In some countries, it is even longer. So, these citizens, these people who came, they fell in two different categories. They were religiously persecuted people, but they didn't have any papers. So their only thing they had was a piece of paper that they can live without a visa in India, without a time limit. So this went on, and they had to be kept in tents, in camps, and they could not get jobs because they didn't have citizenship. They had no papers. The paper that they had of staying in India had classified them as illegal migrants. So nobody looking at that, seeing they're illegal, was giving them a job. And so on state dole, they were surviving. Generations passed, many of them dead. Then their children also were illegal immigrants. Just because they were born in India, they were not given, because they were in that category. And so a chorus grew that they should be given citizenship. The last person to speak on it in Parliament was in 2003, when the NDA was in power, and the Home Minister, Deputy Prime Minister was Mr. Advani, and the leader of the opposition was Dr. Manmohan Singh. He got up and said, Mr. Advani, have a large heart. I mean, look who's talking about large heart. He have a large heart. These are people who deserve citizenship immediately. But Mr. Advani could not do it for I don't know what reason. And this kept pending. And then when Mr. Narendra Modi came back on his second term, many of us, and especially the RSS, felt that this is an anomaly, an unfairness that needs to be cured. And we had actually originally planned to bring it in the first term, but the Congress objected, saying we want to send it to the Parliamentary Select Committee. It must be analysed fully, and then only a recommendation will come. The Parliamentary Select Committee then received it in 2016. They worked on it in 2016, 2017, 2018. They gave a report, a majority report, recommending that these people should be given citizenship. But by the time 2019 came, we got it passed through the Parliament Lok Sabha, but because we didn't have majority and the elections were near, nobody was in a mood to hear it, so the bill lapsed. And so when the second term began, the first thing we did was bring this bill. It was passed in the Lok Sabha, of course, because we have majority, the big majority. In the Rajya Sabha, people thought we will lose, but actually we won by a huge majority. Because many of the parties today who are speaking, they voted for us. Some parties didn't want to vote for us, but didn't want to vote against us also, like Trinamool Congress. So they absented themselves from the parliament. So therefore we had a smaller group to get a majority from, and by majority it became a bill of parliament. A bill became an act of parliament. So that's the legal position. Now what does this bill say? This bill says that it has been a long-standing demand for these particular people who have come on religious persecution. That is, from Afghanistan, the Sikhs were driven out after this, the Soviet Union had captured Afghanistan, and Pakistan and Bangladesh. These three countries, a number of people have come because of religious persecution. They have come illegally to escape persecution, and we have maintained a register of them, and the register has 31,313 people left. Right from 1947, those who are alive, those who came little. So we made a cut-off date that as of 31st December 2014, whoever has come under religious persecution from these three countries, it's an incomplete chapter of partition, and therefore to complete it, it has been decided that these 31,313, of which 25,000 were Hindus, 5,000 were Sikhs, about 2,000 were Christians, 2 Buddhists and 2 Parsis, they will be given citizenship. Since the Citizenship Act says you have to have 11 years of residence in India, including the last year being continuously in India. That was waived and said 5 years for them as a special case, because their people who have been living in camps, they had no records whatsoever, but for 5 years they were able to get ration cards. So on that basis, we decided that the cut-off period, those who came to India on religious persecution before 31st December 2014 and had been in residence in India for at least 5 years, they will get citizenship. Now, unfortunately, there is no Muslim in that register of 31,313. Why there is no Muslim? Which Muslim will come on religious persecution from Afghanistan, Pakistan and Bangladesh, you tell me? You find me one Muslim who is ready to say, I cannot practice Islam in Pakistan and come to our country, I will help him get citizenship. But there is nobody like that. They say, no, there are Shias who are being persecuted. But Shias none has wanted to come to India. They all go to Iran. Iran is a Shia country and a prosperous Shia country. What about Ahmadiyas? The Sunnis say they are not Muslims, but the Ahmadiyas say we are Muslims, we believe in the Quran. And when they come out, escape, they go to Bahrain and places like that, where it's easy to get a job. And there are people who have come on non-religious grounds. Even then we have been ready to give them citizenship, like Tariq Fateh. But he said, I would prefer a citizenship of Canada because India is too close to Pakistan and I am speaking every day against Pakistan, so anybody can come anytime and kill me and go. So I prefer a distant country. Taslima came from Bangladesh and she has taken Swedish citizenship. And today I am telling you, any Muslim coming from Pakistan wants to be a citizen. If he is if he fulfills the condition of Section 6 of the Citizenship Act, including the stay of 11 years, he will get citizenship. There was a Hollywood singer called Swamy something.
Adnan Swamy.
Adnan Swamy. He got citizenship of India. So I don't understand why everybody is saying and quoting the Indian Constitution that all are equal before the law. First of all, that's a wrong interpretation. Secondly, I am not under obligation to give fundamental rights to Pakistani Muslims unless they, there is some special reason why I should make them citizens. But this concept of equality before law, people don't understand what the Constitution means. So the Supreme Court in a number of judgments has said, Article 14 only means that equal persons shall be, equality is only meant for equal persons. For example, today, scheduled castes are getting reservation. And if I say, or anyone says, I am a Brahmin, but I am not getting reservation, so Article 14 should be applied, and I should also get reservation on equality of law. Now what is wrong with that logic? Supreme Court interpreted that to say the situation of those who claim to be Brahmins and those who are scheduled castes is totally different. One has been handicapped, therefore there has to be given handicap. And so equality is not between everybody. It is between those who are equals. If I am a student in a school and I get marks and which are the same as my neighbor, my fellow student, and my fellow student gets an admission and I don't get, unless one is a scheduled caste and one is not, there cannot be a discrimination on the basis of marks. So Article 40 doesn't apply at all. But who reads the Constitution of India? Especially film actresses don't read at all. And then they come and give us lectures that this is unconstitutional. Tell me, how is this unconstitutional? And if and I was surprised to see Manmohan Singh come and speak the exact opposite of what he spoke in 2003. In 2003, there was no Sonia Gandhi around, so he spoke very bravely. But when she came, he became a pussycat, you see. And then started saying this is unconstitutional and so on. Man who's been Prime Minister for 10 years to speak like this just because he's under pressure of his party. So therefore, I'm saying to you that this whole thing, there is nothing. Now they're saying, now they're shifting the ground because of the arguments that we people have advanced, challenging them to prove it under the, where the law has been broken. It was passed legitimately and legally and according to rules in the parliament, in both houses of parliament. The president reviewed it and put his signature. It has become an act now. What was a bill has become an act. There's nothing illegal in that. It doesn't violate any aspect of the Constitution. They have gone to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, out of mercy, is not listing the case at all because they will have to throw it out. So they felt, it's better to just keep it hanging. The petitioner is also not pushing for it. There is no legal argument against the CAA, Criminal Amendment Act. That therefore, this whole argument and the whole movement that is based on this is utter rubbish. I can understand some of the political parties, they see cinemas only, they don't read any books. Like in Tamil Nadu, there are many such parties, they have come out and agitated. But I am surprised that people from the universities, professors, are giving long lectures on how we have broken the Constitution. There is nothing to do.